Namaste, welcome to 33rd problem, right? What couple is needed to hold a small single turn coil of area 5 centimeters square in equilibrium? That means you have to hold it in equilibrium. What do you mean by equilibrium? The net couple must be zero. The couple produced due to magnetic field and what that restoring couple produced due to magnetic field, what the reverse couple that you are applying, they should balance each other. So it should be in equilibrium. And with the coil placed at right angles to the field flux density, 0.15 Tesla. Then normal to the coil is parallel to the magnetic field. So cos 0 is 1. So what is the couple? Tau is equal to torque acting on any coil placed in a magnetic field. Bm, Bm, number of turns, n Bm sin theta, right? N Bm sin theta. Now theta here is 90 degree. Tau is equal to number of turns 1. So I can, I will write number of turns n, B, m can be written as I into A sin theta. The magnetic moment of any current loop, that is current carrying coil. Magnetic moment is current into area of the coil. That's what you have to expand. N is 1. Strength of the magnetic field is 0.15 Tesla. Okay, no Tesla needed here. B is over I, carrying a current of 10 ampere. Area 5 centimeters square. 5 centimeters square has to be squared because area is 5 centimeters square. 5 into 10 to the power minus 2 whole square. Centimeter. IA sin 90. Okay. Bm sin theta. Tau is equal to rest of the thing you have to do that. What else we have? B, did I substitute properly? B I A sin 90. Now you donate this 0.15 to this one, 10. 1.5 into 5 into 10 to the power minus 4. Tau is equal to 7.5 into 10 to the power minus 4. And if you donate one more 10 to the power minus 1 here, 0.75. That's the only we have with the 7 and 5. So that's the correct answer. Third one. 34. An electron is moving with the speed of 10 to the power 8 meter per second perpendicular to a uniform magnetic field. You have understood what is the problem here. It is the force acting on a charged particle moving in a magnetic field, right? So F is equal to radius of the circular path, yes. That itself acts like a centripetal force, correct? F equal to QVB sin 90. Only when we are putting the charged particle perpendicular to the magnetic field, we get a circular path. QVB sin 90 is equal to m squared by r. And V, yes, gets cancelled. What is r? R, radius of the circular path. What is the competition here? If the field is suddenly reduced to half of the value, radius of the path along which the electron is moving. Yeah, magnetic field and radius, yes. Same charged particle, no competition, same mass, same speed, nothing is told about speed. 10 to the power 8 meters per second. What about the next speed? Whether it is changed? No. Field is suddenly reduced to half. If field is reduced to half, R will reduce to, I will get doubled, right? So when B, because it is inversely proportional to R. So R is inversely proportional to B. If B is reduced to half, 2 comes to the numerator. It is doubled. It is the same as the previous one, right? So it's not same as the previous one. Only the marking is at the same place. It is doubled, right? Path along which the electron is moving and its radius will get doubled because they are inversely proportional. When other things are constant. 35. Now let us rub this. This time it may not be the same. Okay. The instantaneous value of current and voltages in AC circuit are I is equal to Im sin omega t and E is equal to Em sin omega t. Okay. Plus pi by 3. So there is a phase difference. We will write it. Voltage leads, right, by pi by 3. V leads I. You can get it from the equation. Current lags behind. If the resistance is 1 ohm, okay, R is 1 ohm, then the reactance of the circuit, reactance of the circuit X you have to find out. Total reactance, whatever it may be, because of capacitor, inductor, or only due to capacitor, only due to inductor, whatever it is. Now, how to find out Z? Impedance. You can have peak values, right? Vm by Im. Vm is 200 by Im is 100. That is 2 ohm. That is Z. Z is equal to R square plus Xc minus XL whole square, which can be written as total reactance square. Z square is equal to R square plus X square. What is X? X square is equal to Z square minus R square. X is equal to root of Z square minus R square. Root of Z 2 square minus R square 2 square 1 square. So 4 minus 1 root 3. Nothing else, isn't it? Why it is 100 root 3, 200 root 3 and all? Options. I get doubt. I think they are not needed. Just root 3, correct? Anywhere we have gone wrong? They are asking you if the voltage, if the resistance is 1 ohm, then the reactance of the circuit. Resistance is 1 ohm. Okay. Impedance is Vm by Im, 200 by 100, Vm by Im. That is phase difference is not needed here. Then Z is 2 ohm. And Z equal to root of R square plus X square. Z square is equal to R square plus X square. X square is equal to Z square minus R square. Z square minus R square square root. Z square is 2 square 4 minus 1 square 1 root 3. Only that much. Yeah. Why it is minus and all? 36. When 100 volt DC is applied to a circular coil, across a coil, a current of 1 ampere flows through the circuit. Okay. When a 100 volt, I think we have worked out this type of problem, right? In a coil, there may be both inductive effect, resistance effect. A coil is a RL circuit, RL, resistance inductive circuit. It may contain resistance as well as inductance. When a 100 volt DC is applied to across a coil, a current of 1 ampere flows through it. When a 100 volt 50 Hz AC is applied, current is 0.5. Then inductance of the coil is. So when coil is subjected to only DC, its resistance comes into picture. So R is equal to DC voltage, DC current. When DC of 100, 1 ampere, this is 100 ohm. But when AC is applied, both effects will come into picture. What is that? X and Z, X and R, reactance and impedance. So all Z will come into picture. So what is Z? Peak value of voltage by peak value of, or it is RMS value of voltage and RMS value of current. 100 by 0.5, it is 200 ohm. Because 0.5 is half, you bring this to here, 200 ohm. Okay. Now what is the inductance? Z is equal to root of R squared plus X square. That means X square means XL minus, R square plus XL square. Only XL square. There is no capacitive inductance, right? Capacitive reactance. Root of R square plus XL square. Now what is Z? Z is 200. I will square it. R square, 100 square. 100 square plus XL square. What is XL? 20,000 minus 10,000 is equal to XL square. What is this? 10,000, isn't it? It is 10,000 XL square. What is XL? 100. Am I right? We have gone wrong, I think. Z equal to root of R square plus XL minus XC whole square. Z is 200, but here I have squared it. R square, that is 100 square. R is 100 by 1, that is correct. This is 100 by 0.5. While only 0.5 amperes, yes, 200. 200 square is equal to 100 square plus XL square. And suppose you put here 100 square, will you get the same answer? 200. Square root of 200. Z equal to square root of 200. Z should be equal to 200, right? Will you get the answer? 100 square plus 100 square, because what is R? R is 100. 100 square. No, you don't get that. Z equal to, you get root 200. 20,000 minus 20,000. It is equal to XL square. XL is 100 ohm. Is it somewhere we have gone wrong? Because if you put XL equal to 100 and R is equal to 100, you won't get Z equal to 200. Why did we go wrong? Z equal to root of R square plus XL minus XC whole square. That is right. 200 square is equal to 100 square, yeah, plus XL square. Oh, got it. Because 200 square is 40,000. How come 200 square 20,000? Right. Very good calculation. Minus 10,000 is equal to XL square. 30,000 is equal to XL root 2. Root of 30,000 is XL. That is equal to, they are trying to get 2 pi nu L. So what is L? L is equal to root of 30,000 2 pi nu, that is equal to root of 30,000 by 2 pi 50 hertz nu. Nu are 2 pi, pi is 3.14, 2 pi nu 50. So that is equal to, what may be the root of 30,000? 15 is 225, 16 is 256, between 16 and 18 some 294, some about 180, almost near to 180, right? 18 into 18 is yeah, 18 into 18, 64, 14, 18, 4, 12, it's more, 18 into 18, but 17 into 17, yeah, 17 and 18, it is in between 17 and 18, divided by, this is 314. It is less than 180, right? Because 17 square and 18 square, it should be somewhere 170 and 180. So this should be 314, because 2 into 50 is 100. 100 into 3.14 is 314. Now what is the answer for this? You have to check it somehow. This may be is equal to 60. 6 I will divide. 30s are 6. 5s are 30. 1 remaining. 2s are, I'll stop it. Okay, then 52, 15, what else? 5s are 15, 5.2. Any answer? We are not getting point. So 5.2, this is 0.6, right? Some are about 0.6. It is 0.55 Henry, right? 0.55. Only 1 Henry you have. All the other things are millihenry. It cannot be millihenry. Can it be millihenry? No. So that idea can be used to get the answer. That's all. Because you won't have such a very, not possible, right? See, 30,000 square root, almost 180. It should be less than this 0.6 because it is 170 something by 314. It is 1 by 2 something like that. It is 0.5. No tens of powers remain. Only 1 Henry. Simply no tens of power minus. Yeah, finally got it. Second option. Then 37. The impedance of the circuit is 200 ohm and the phase angle between V and I is 60 degree. The resistance of the circuit is, again direct one. Phase angle is given, so either you can use tan phi, sin phi, cos phi. Cos phi, you know, R by Z. Cos phi is equal to R by Z. What is cos phi? Cos 60. Cos 60 is equal to impedance is 200 and this is R. Half is equal to R by 200 and this is 100 times R is 100 ohm. Simple problem. Provided you know this formula, otherwise it is complicated. 38. A transparent cube of 12 centimeter. Again, we have worked out this type of problem. A transparent cube of 12 centimeter edge contains small air bubble. Its apparent depth is 5 centimeter when viewed through one face and 3 centimeter when viewed through the other face. Yes, 12 centimeter edge. Air bubble is actually here. It appears to be here. Its apparent depth is 5 centimeter from first surface and 3 centimeter somewhere here when viewed from the second surface. Here if the real depth is x, here the real depth is 12 minus x. From this face when you observe, this is I, okay, and when you observe it here, this is real depth, here this is real depth. Now refractive index of the material is real depth by apparent depth. You know this famous formula. Refractive index from the first phase. N, same N. Don't know N. N is equal to real depth. Real depth is x, apparent depth is 5. Let it be everything in centimeters. We don't get anything here, right? Yeah. Second time N from here, second phase. Same N, because glass slab is glass slab only, from wherever you see that. X is 12 minus x, real depth, apparent depth is 3. So from this you have to get x and substitute it here. Both are n's, so x by 5 must be equal to 12 minus x by 3. That implies, multiplied 3x, cross multiplication, 3x, 60 minus x, 4x is equal to 60. Wrong. X cannot be more than 12, right? So n equal to real depth by apparent depth, and n equal to real depth 12 minus x by apparent depth. X by 5 must equal 12 minus x by 3. I think I have not multiplied by 5. Yes, that's the usual mistake I do, I know it. Minus 5x, so this is 8x. X is equal to 60 by 8. Put it here. Yes. What is n is equal to? N is equal to x 60 by 8 by 5. Am I right? By 5. 6 by 4. 60 by 40. 1.5. Second option. Right. 39. Solar rays are incident at 45 degree on the surface of water. Okay. So solar rays, sun rays fall at 45 degree on the surface of water. Refractive index is 4 by 5. What is the length of the shadow of a pole of length 1 meter, 1.2 meter, erected at the bottom of a pond? At the bottom of the pond, perpendicularly to the pond bottom, there is a pole which is 1.2 meter erected at the bottom of a pond. With the pole, if the pole is vertical, pole is vertical to the pond. 0.2 meter of the pole above the surface of water. It is like this. Here is a pond, and here is the, okay, I'll take it somewhere else. Here is a pole with the 0.2 meter outside the water, 0.2 meter outside the water, and 1 meter below the water, totally 1.2 meter height. And sun rays are falling at 45 degrees on this, right? See the sun ray which is falling at the top of the pole. Now suppose this pole is on a simple land without any water. This how much will be the shadow length? These rays of light falling at 45 degrees, and these rays are blocked, right? And these rays will pass through, and these rays will pass through. So you will get the shadow of this here. Am I right? Here no light will pass. Light will fall on the ground because this pole will block these rays of light. The last ray which can pass is this one, and below this cannot. So you get the length of the pole. So you can take this as 45 degrees. This is 45. So if you take this as 45 and this as remaining angle, that is 45, you can take sine theta and something like that. You can do this here. But this is inside water now. Got it now? If it is on the surface of earth like this, you could have taken sine theta and length of the pole and remaining adjacent side, or cos theta, whatever. You could have managed it. but now it is in water. So the rays of light are falling like this at 45 degree, like this. But they undergo refraction like this here. What is the length? I will draw a normal. What is the length of the shadow inside water, right? What is the length of the shadow of the pole of land so much erected at the bottom of the pond with the pole? Yes. From here to here, that is the length of the shadow. That is what you want. From the pole here to this end. It is not completely like this, as if it is formed on the surface of a land. Very easy problem. Now, if this is 45, and this is air, refractive index 1, and what about this one, 4/3 given water, and I will find out this as the angle of refraction. I can use the Snell's law, I think, right? Now I will divide this, I will name this as A, B, C, something like this, D, E, like this, right? F, simply to explain. Now I want AB plus BC. Can I find out AB if I know this one? Yeah, I know this one, 1 meter. Now you have to apply general law. N1 sin I, shall I apply 1 sin 45 is equal to N sin R, 4/3 sin R. 1 sin 45 is equal to N sin R. Sin 45 is 1/√2 sin R. 4/3 sin R. What is sin R? Sin R is equal to 3/4√2. Am I right? 3/4√2 is sin R. 1 sin I is equal to N sin R. 1/√2. 3/4√2 is equal to sin R. But if I have sin R, I think it is of no use. Opposite side by, I should know adjacent side, correct? Can it be used? Yeah, AB by opposite side by adjacent side. But will I get opposite side? I think so. Or no, opposite side by hypotenuse, no use. Sin R, opposite side by hypotenuse. Hypotenuse I don't know. I know this one, tan R. If I want to get tan R is opposite side by adjacent side. That is possible. Then you will get opposite side. Then plus BC. That will do. We will see how to find out BC later. Now how to get tan R from this? See, tan R, sin R by cos R. Hope you can see this, yes. Right, tan R by cos R. Sin R by cos R is tan R. Tan R, sin R by, what is cos R? Root of 1 minus sin squared theta, right? 1 minus sin squared R. Now any other, you may have any other method to get tan R. Tan R is equal to sin R 3/4√2 by root of 1 minus sin squared R, 9/16 into 2, correct? Square, 3 square 9, 4 square 16, root 2 square 2. 3/4√2 by root of 32 common, 32 minus 9, 23. That is equal to 3/4√2 by 23 root of 23 divided by, now can I write this as 4√2 again, 32. 16 into 2, 16 outside the square root, 2. 16 square root outside 4, 4√2. So what is this? 3/√23, that's all. 3/√23 is tan R, but tan R is also equal to opposite side, that is what is needed for us, by adjacent side, 1 meter. This is 1 and this is 0.2 meter is above, right? Yes, above the pole. Pole is above the water, yes, tan R. 3/23, the root of 23 is equal to AB. Directly, isn't it? Directly we have got it, because AB by this one. So we got AB, that is the length of the shadow, this much. What is this one? Length of the shadow, where we can get it? I think you can get it here, right? This is 45 means this is 45. Totally this should be 90. Opposite side by adjacent side, finish. Tan 45 degree is here. Tan 45 is equal to opposite side by adjacent side, BC. What is BC? Tan 45 is 1. BC is 0.2 meters. Now what is this one, AB? Root 3. Root 23, shall I write it as almost 5? 25 is 5. 23 is less than 5. Okay, 3 by some 5 I will write. Then it will be 0.6. I'll check it whether I get the answer or not. 0.6 plus this one, 0.2. Right? It will 0.8. It is more than 0.8 because this denominator is not 5, it is 4 point something. 4 point something means this will be more than 0.6. Correct answer? So, little bit lengthier. You see, these types of questions, you feel as if you can do that because you are good in trigonometry, you can get it, Snell's law. But it requires long calculation. Second round question, not in the first round. Consumes the time of direct questions which are waiting for you, right? So that doesn't mean that I didn't say that you have to leave this question, okay? You shouldn't leave this question, you have to work it out. But you have to keep it for the second round. Don't waste the time in the first round. Okay, next problem. 3940. A luminous object is placed at a distance of 3 centimeters from a convex lens of focal length 20 centimeters. Okay. On the other side of the lens, at what distance from the lens must a convex mirror of radius of curvature 10 centimeter must be placed in order to have upright image of the object coinciding with it, right? Okay. A luminous object is placed at a distance of 30 centimeter from a convex lens of focal length 20 centimeter. Yeah, convex lens of focal length 20 centimeter. Positive. Parallel rays meet here. Focal length 20 centimeter. Object is placed 30 centimeter from the this one. Rays will go and meet here and the image is formed. What is the image distance? Object distance is 30. 1 by f is equal to 1 by v minus 1 by u. 1 by 20, 1 by v minus 1 by 30 plus minus of minus 30. You know that because it is in the left hand side. From the optic center, when you measure it like this, you are going opposite to the direction of rays. 1 by 20, 1 minus 1 by 30, that is 1 by v. 60 common, 3 times, 2 times, 1 by v. 1 by 60 is 1 by v. That implies v is equal to 60 centimeters. Image is formed at a distance of 60 centimeters here. Now their question is, at what place you have to place a convex mirror, at what point you have to place a convex mirror of radius of curvature 10 centimeter. What do you mean by convex mirror has a radius of curvature 20 centimeter? If you complete this, convex mirror center, this is 20 centimeter, right? Convex 10 centimeter. A convex mirror of radius of curvature 20 centimeter. The meaning is, if you put a ray of light, so what do you mean by normal incidence for a mirror? A light which is incident normally at 90 degrees. That is for a plane mirror. How to put a ray of light normally to a curved mirror? Your ray of light should fall on the mirror in such a direction that it should be towards the center. Any line drawn along the radial vector is a normal. So if you put a ray of light like this, which is about to move towards the center, will be reflected back in the same path. That is normal incidence. Any ray of like this is about to move towards the center, reflected back. Any ray of light like this will be reflected back. Any ray of light like this will be reflected like this. Now they say that you should get an upright image of this object here only. Why? Because the rays which are about to form the image must be reflected back in the same path. These rays which are about to form the image should be reflected back. Now who will do that? A convex mirror. Where you have to place the convex mirror so that you will get the image at the same place as if the object is present. Then these rays have to be sent back in the same path but in the opposite direction. Now if these rays have to be sent back in the same path but in the opposite direction, if you move them further, they must meet at the center, because this should be a normal incidence, otherwise it is not possible. If these rays are incident normally, they will be reflected back here, and if this is normal incident, this should be the center. And what should be the place where this has to be kept? That is its radius. What is the radius of that? 10 centimeter. And if in 10 centimeter, if you place from the position of the image, at 10 centimeter if you place the convex mirror, what is the distance left out of 60? It is 50. Question is where you have to place from the lens. Must a convex mirror have the radius of curvature? You have to place it at a distance of 50 centimeter. So combinations, right? Very interesting combinations. 50 centimeter is the answer. You have to place it at 50 centimeter from the lens. That's what they are asking. Finally, see whether you have answered your question or not. Once you get all these things, while answering, if you write 10 centimeter, it is gone. Thank God there is no 10 centimeter, right? But suppose there is 10 centimeter, there is a chance of ticking that too, right? So very careful while answering. 41. Distance of distinct vision is 25 centimeter. What do you mean by distance of distinct vision? The minimum distance at which you can see an object clearly. Within that you can't see. For normal human being it is 25. The focal length of a convex lens is 5 centimeter. What is the magnifying power? It can act as a magnifier of magnifying power. You know that for a simple microscope, magnification is 1 plus d by Fv, right? Magnifying power 1 plus 25. I will keep everything in centimeter. By focal length of the eyepiece. Eyepiece means only one lens is in simple microscope. That is 5. That is 1 plus 5. That is 6 direct. If you know the formula, it's direct one. 42. The nature of the graph between the slit separation and the fringe width in Young's double slit experiment. Nature of the graph between the slit separation and the fringe width in Young's double slit experiment. Slit separation and fringe width. Other things remaining constant. Beta lambda d by d. Constant. This one and this one are in the kabaddi match now. Slit width and separation and sorry, not slit width. Separation between the slits and fringe width beta inversely proportional. So this should be the graph, correct? Same one. Any volume is inversely proportional to pressure. Potential is inversely proportional to the distance. Everything. So inversely proportional graphs are like this, because they shouldn't meet neither x-axis, y-axis, because volume is inversely proportional to pressure. Volume versus pressure. Volume becomes 0 only when pressure becomes infinity. Pressure becomes 0 only when volume becomes infinity. They don't touch each other. So that is option 1. 43. In double slit experiment, interference experiment, D is the separation of the slits and capital D is the distance of the screen from the plane of the slits. That is usual notation. When when light of wavelength lambda is used, first dark band is formed directly in front of one of the slits. Yes. This is the place where we expect bright band, and this is directly opposite the first slit and the next slit. This is D by 2 and this is D by 2. We know it. This is D, separation between the slits. Now the question is, wavelength lambda is used. First dark band is formed directly in front of one of the slits. Here. Directly opposite to one of the slits, first dark band is formed. You know, if this is the distance x, this is the central bright band and this is dark, and next bright band will be here, this is dark. Distance for any bright band is n beta. The 7th bright band 7 beta, 9th bright band 9 beta. Dark band, first dark band itself is at a distance of half beta, so everything is half beta. First dark band half beta, second one 1.5 beta, 7th one 6.5 beta, so half beta less, n minus half, right? If you take n plus half, you have to put n1 more extra. For example, if you want to say for distance of the third band is 2.5 beta, correct? From here half beta, then 1 2. Third band you will get, third dark. So distance of third band is 2.5 beta. So you can write n minus half by putting n equal to 3 itself. Suppose you want to use this for n equals 0, 1, 2, etc. n plus half, then the first band will become n equal to 0. Second band will become n equal to 1. So don't confuse it with that. So you can put half beta less. Okay. Now what is this? Distance of the first band, beta by 2, must be equal to. So x becomes beta by 2. Now what is the question? First dark band is formed directly in front of one of the slits. Beta by 2 is equal to d by 2, isn't it? Directly in front of one of the slits. Beta by 2 must be equal to d by 2. First dark band, 0.5 beta, half beta, is formed directly in front of one of the slits. Then the value of lambda is, expand beta, 2 gets cancelled. Lambda d by d, I am writing beta, is equal to d. Now they are asking, then the value of lambda is equal to d square by d. Finish. Yes, d square by d. 44. Two Polaroids are set with the transmission planes at 45 degrees. What is the percentage of light transmitted? Moll's law, right? Two Polaroids, but first case is not Moll's law. When the unpolarized light is incident on a polarizer, that is not Moll's law. Intensity becomes I naught by 2. So like this comes out. This is at 45 degree to the original axis. If I is the incident here, intensity, I naught by 2 here will be the case. What about here? I naught by 2 cos squared 45 degrees. When unpolarized light is incident on any polarizer, the outcoming light will be 50%. I naught by 2. Once it is polarized and incident on the second one, then depends on the angle. That is I naught cos squared 45 degree. Here I naught itself is I naught by 2. So I naught by 2, 1 by 2, because cos 45 is 1 by root 2, cos squared 45 is 1 by root 2 whole square, 1 by 2, I naught by 4, so that is 25%, 0.25 I naught, so 25% of the light is transmitted and 75% is absorbed. So shall we stop here once, and we will have it in another video. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll come back.